Nō reira e te whānau. Let's crack into it. Me mihi tika ki a koutou katoa kua haere mai I te kaupapa o te puna ako I te rā nei. He tino rawe, he tino hikaka tātou mo te kōrero I te rā nei. Nō reira, mo te tīmatanga kia tīmata tātou o te karakia tīmatanga. Nō reira, me karakia tātou. He mihi ki runga ko Ranginui. He mihi ki raro ko Papa Tuanuku. He whakawhetai ana mō tēnei rā, he whakamaumahara ki ngā taonga tuku iho, ngā maunga, ngā awa, ngā moana, ngā rākau, ngā manu, he tiritiri mō tātou katoa, o tātou wairoa te hanga tangata, ko tahi, kia mahitahi ai mō te ao hau, tēnō pai. Haumie, huie, tai ki e. Nō reira, ki ora koutou. For the karakia tīmatanga, I just wanted to share about what that was about. So on this day, we give thanks and acknowledgement for this day, that we're alive, that we share breath. We remember the treasures that have been passed on. The maunga, the mountains, the river, the seas, the trees, the birds are there for us all to share. And our aim should be to build upon that and live true to the essence of the Māori of those things. How can we work together? By honoring those things for a better world, for a Hawaii ho. Yeah, kia ora. So also feel free to grab a bite, grab a kai, grab an inu, and get comfortable as well. We can't see you in your PJs, so make sure you're nice and comfortable for today. And now I have the absolute honor of introducing Tom. We had the privilege of meeting Tom at this Complex Systems Symposium, where we got to hear about one of their incredible frameworks that he's going to be speaking about today. I also wanted to acknowledge his other kai mahi, Tanya, as well, who can't be here today. So I've got the bio from the Complex Symposium iho, so hope you don't mind that, nō reira. Tom Johnson, he uri mokopuna no Te Awa Tupua, Te Awa Rangitīkei, is the design lead at Whakauae Research, where he develops kaupapa Māori innovations that help his team's research travel into practice, centering the Tāngata Taiao, human and more than human bond, as the rhythm-sustaining waiora, wellbeing. Māori systems of maramataka, taonga puoro, and site-based listening with Taiao shaped his restorative methods that nurture balance between people and environment, an area under-researched by mainstream approaches to systems change. Tom co-develops the TUI methodology, translation, uptake, and impact, and collaborates with young Indigenous creatives who translate findings into poetry, animations, mahi toi, and other meaningful forms, helping to drive action that honors Taiao as teacher in shaping collective well-being. Nō reira, let's emoji it up for Tom. Kia
Kia ora e hoa. Can you hear me okay? Ah, rawe. Oh, ngā mea o te ia I kia tātou, te wāne o tēnei ui ai, purangi. Ngā mea inu I ki ngā ringaropa as well, Jāroa ko Tanya mo te manaki a mātou I tēnei rā. I also have a Tanya in my life, my sidekick, but at the moment I tai mai au I tēnei rā, kaore taku huarua, hoa, I te taha I ahau, she's in ahi te reiria, I te manaki ana I tō mātou whānau. So, thanks, Tanya. I'll do it by myself for once. But thank you very much for having me. As Jar said, he uri mokopuna Te Awa Tupua, Te Awa Rangitīkei, kororo pe'u. He kākono ho o Samatea Pōkai Whenua, ka puta ko Tom. And today I wanted to bring us into like a slightly different way of noticing, like not systems on paper, but systems we can feel. And you might have noticed it lately, the sky sitting a little heavier, the wind moving differently, yeah, kei te huri te pau, kei te rereke ngā hau, kei te kōrero mai a Taiao i ana toʻu ki a mātou. So seasons not necessarily arriving when they used to. The air feeling something a little unfamiliar. And across Aotearoa, of course, this past wiki, the weather's pushed hard, some sharp shifts, some unsettled patterns. Hopeful if your whānau are well. And these aren't just isolated events, they're signals. And what I've learned is our health system speaks in the same way, not just in reports, but in those pressures, those strains, and what keeps breaking. Also, I feel like I should arrive honestly. I've been a bit flat the last couple of weeks, bit low energy, and looking last night out to Hina looked more like Mutu Whenua, so I come a little bit low energy, not very polished, but open, and hope to connect with some others here who might feel we got some cool sharings, and just open as well to locate myself. Yes, I'm an Uri or Te Awa Tupua. I'm also a descendant of Scotland. I'm not a pa boy. I didn't grow up on marae, but I am really privileged that I've been held through my mahi at Whakauae, with my aunts across the fence between Pungaretu and Parikino marae. I've been really, really lucky to be welcomed by aunties, colleagues who have been a sheltering ngahere to me. So the kōrero today is about Te Ruru, a systems change framework. I'm just about to share a slide. And can somebody give me a thumbs up if it works? Because, oh yeah, thank you, Ataro. um, so this kōrero is definitely not mine alone. It comes from about 3, 4 years of many wānanga from many voices from my team at Whakauae. And yeah, so so that's cool. I will begin. Kia ora, mai tātou. Okay. Um, this is where the work comes from. Whakauae Research Services is where I get to work. It's a Ngāti Hauiti own our Māori Health Research Centre, and we came from real humble beginnings too. Our founder, Dr. Heather Gifford, Nanny Heather, took her postgrad funding after you finish your PhD, and she was like, "No, I'm not taking it to the university. I'm bringing it back home." And so she brought it back 21 years ago, back to Rangitīkei, to Rata Marae. That's where we're based. Our tari is in Whanganui, so our kaimahi, we gather in Whanganui, but we also have a home base at Rata Marae. And we're really proud to be, I think we're the only iwi-owned Māori Health Research Centre, and we kaupapa Māori. And there's a little QR code there if you want to scan and have a little wee looky. And since then, this one woman centre from Nanny Heather, it's grown big. We've got a beautiful team of kaupapa Māori researchers, communicators, designers, as you can see here. Don't they look nice? Those are my aunties there, Jill and Mel. And our main values still are grounded in our whakapapa to Ngāti Hauiti, who gave us a set of kawa, of tikanga to live by, which hold our responsibilities to whenua and our tangata there. And that really means changing things that matter. So for Māori, for our communities in Aotearoa and beyond. And yeah, it's not just where we're based, Whanganui, Rangitīkei. It's also shaped how we see. And so a big part of how we do our mahi is research sovereignty, right? So Māori decide the pātai, Māori shape the work, Māori hold the knowledge and define what that success looks like. We play the game, we do the research, we compete for those really competitive health research grants. The reports look good, but the real question is, how do you actually know anything's changing on the ground? Because too often all the beautiful mahi, the hours of dedication that our people put into kaupapa don't always shift the conditions that hold those inequities in place. It's not changing the rules of the game. And we realized this early on. I'll just flick to another slide here. This is a bit of us over the last 3 years trying to make a framework for us to understand what systems change was. And one thing we learned really early on is that we've always been doing systems change. Since 21 years ago, when Nanny Heather said no to university and took that funding and started her own centre, that's self-determination in action. That's disrupting a system, that very traditional health research structure where it takes a long time to get a program grant, to get people employed. So Te Ruru didn't introduce systems change to us, it sort of gave us a language to what had already been happening and is still evolving. So for us, Te Ruru is a systems change framework. It's a living one. She's constantly, shedding her feathers. She's constantly changing. And if I go up again, actually, I should just point out here, this is my beautiful uncle, Utuku, who's our potikanga at Mahi, and behind him is the tomokanga at Rātamarai. And just here, you can see a ruru. So the idea for te ruru came from our tomokanga, from our home marae. Um, we're also trying to translate it in different ways, I suppose, because systems change is buzzy, right? It's got sometimes very isolating, complex language. So there's a QR code if you want to scan this and give it a jam. This is what systems change can look like in practice for Te Ruru, taking really complex ideas and transforming them into forms that move. And I share this at the front because everything I say today might actually be really dry. So if you want a rangatai produced thing, we work with a real cool young woman called Lucy. And she's actually made you might even just want to watch that whilst I talk because maybe she'll explain it way better than I can. So this is an example of, again, translating and allowing Te Ruru, our framework, to evolve into another form. I mean, I never thought we'd be able to put something so complex into a comic book, and also working with others is dope because every time someone applies a new lens to it, it makes it even more magic and takes a new life on. So I share that there because embedding this kind of ma'i takes time. It's slow, relational ma'i. It's work that has to be lived, not just sort of like theoretically understood, because there's no quick fixes. And then I suppose I want to just frame before I start introducing Te Ruru that Te Ao Māori, whānau Māori, we've always been systems thinkers. We've navigated across Te Whānganui a Kiwa. We read the universe as a system. The fact that we're here means we got it right. Our time horizons extend way beyond what the current, say, health funding is set up. Our time horizons extend way beyond funding cycles. Our responsibilities don't stop when a report's finished and submitted. So the constraint we find are the systems, the frameworks that we're asked to work within today. And that's what really led us to making our own framework. Because systems thinking didn't teach us that everything is connected. We already knew that as Māori. What it's given to us, though, the reason why we've decided to lean in, I suppose, to speaking into systems change is it gives us a name to that interconnectedness in rooms that haven't always held our reo or even been willing to hear our pūrākau, our stories, our ways of explaining and arranging our universes. So we have always been doing systems change. We just needed a way at mahi, at Whakauae, to language it together so that it could kind of be made sense to us and then we could be understood by others. And that drew us deep into many wānanga, this ma'i, which we understand the real transformation requires more than those research outputs and activities. It requires shifting those deeper layers, the power dynamics, the mindsets, the assumptions, the structures, the accountabilities. You've probably seen the Kania et al. Upside down pyramids, all that stuff, that works. We actually refer to that quite a bit in our work because systems are predominantly Western, so we find that framework actually does make sense to us. But I'll show you an iteration that we've decided to use later on. But so yeah, those structures, those accountabilities, it's within those spaces that colonization sits, yeah. And so they're also the spaces where the decolonizing ma'i needs to happen. So we see this again and again in our ma'i. When I say our ma'i, I'm meaning we predominantly do kaupapa Māori health research. And when systems change reaches those deeper layers, it brings us into kōrero and often conflict about worldview, because we found that's where the change actually begins, when we can actually get there. These layers sit beneath strategy, beneath practice, beneath the policy that a local council's given. And it's also, these other systems that are foreign to this whenua have always shaped what is counted as evidence, who is heard, and whose lives remain unseen. So if I come back again to worldview, I think it's really important that I almost make really clear that I don't believe our public systems justice, education, health are culturally neutral at all. They encode assumptions about what counts as knowledge, what can be measured, how the world is ordered and governed. And as a result, our people's way of organizing relationship, time, responsibility, they don't fit into here. Our pūrākau and whakapapa don't fit into a 9:30 to 10 a.m. hui. They're systematically excluded by these systems. They don't sit neatly. And because of this mismatch, we think that Western frameworks consistently matters. What can be the real drivers of change for Māori? They miss our whakapapa. They miss our whenua as a living tupuna, our collective whānau well-being. They look at colonization as a past event, not a present system condition that's ongoing. Because when these systems repeatedly fail Māori, it's not because Māori are hard to reach or resistant or that we're too complex. It's because the worldviews underpinning the system cannot hold our history, our relationships, the responsibility beyond the contract. The problem after a few years we've landed on is not complexity, it's control. And complex systems cannot be controlled into change. But our institutions, ACC, justice, they're all built on control. Anyway, I'm repeating myself a bit there. So I suppose maybe I should transition now and talk about Te Ruru itself. I'll bring us in there. So I'll just say again, it's not Māori capability that's missing. It's frameworks that allow us to work within systems without leaving our own worldview behind. Okay, get ready for some complexity. There's an article that goes along with these slides if you want. We actually broke Te Ruru into sort of a three-layered framework. So micro, meso, and macro, really dry academic words. They're open to be changed because Te Ruru, like the beautiful mōpok that cools out itself at night, she's changing her feathers, she's changing her environment. She's sleeping outside one of the gum trees at my whare at the moment. I hear about 8 a.m. to 10. So, these names can change. And the way that we've layered the framework between micro, meso, and macro, that can change as well. So I just wanted to illustrate that it's not just one thing, then you follow on to a next thing. It's quite layered. Thank you. And I'll try and explain it. So Te Ruru for us is how Whakauae's landed on a systems change framework that enables us as kaupapa Māori researchers to see the whole system, sort of translate that knowledge into action and shift structures, but without for a second needing to take ourselves beyond our tomokanga, outside of the marae. We can keep our values and our worldview as the central priority. And here you've got those three things, ngā karu te ngotu. We've got our values here in the center curling around the koru. These are essentially the three steps that we take in order to make sure that we're all looking in the same direction. So in ngā wā o mua, when our tupuna were about to jump on a waka from Tahiti, go across all the islands and land in Aotearoa, we would have spent months practicing whakapapa, months carving the waka, months preparing, actually what kumara variety we were going to take, what breadfruit. I understand that the pigs didn't survive and maybe the chickens didn't survive, but the kuri survived and the kumara survived. So we would have done this deep, long process of making sure that we understood who we are, where we're going, what we do and what we do not do. So this micro lens, there's some, you can read that if you like, but essentially it's mostly about this is who we are, these are our values, this is where we don't stray from. And are we all looking in the same direction? When we're looking in the same direction, then we can move. So for us, it's a way for Māori to see, translate, and shift systems without having to leave our home. So the micro lens, it kind of also centers Indigenous consciousness before we take action, because systems change can only become possible when the system can sense and see itself through an Indigenous lens. So we begin here. This is how we locate ourselves in the Māori systems change. Meso is our sort of second step. For us, it doesn't mean that research is the endpoint. So it's not like, okay, cool, we've written this beautiful literature review, this report, it's gone to the Ministry of Education or whatever. Our job's done. No, because we know these things, these outputs end up getting dusty on a shelf. Our mahi involves ensuring that those insights from the research are translated across worlds. Do they get on the minister's desk? Are they returned and packaged up puā wano so they're mana enhancing? And do they go back home to, our wano voice that gave it to us? So we make sure that um, our insights are shaped for different audiences, I guess, carried through relationships, activated through timing and opportunity. So you can see that through, we've got the Kanye et al. 6 conditions for systems change in our pākau of Te Ruru, and we've still got our values in the core and the koru, which are unmovable, they don't shift. So this sort of meso lens is about actioning. If the previous lens was making sure that we're all looking in the same direction, that we agree. This lens is about doing the do. This is when we start getting armed and dangerous. We've got our evidence locked and loaded up our sleeve. Well, I shouldn't do that right now. We're ready to go. We're ready to fight the good fight. And down the bottom in the maikuku, the claws of Te Ruru, these are some values that our Whakauae whānau have told us are things they've always done. They've always been kaitutus, reshaping, movement building, but also in that process, they're healing the environment too. For example, the Ruru is one of my favorites, I think, species indigenous to Aotearoa because she has thrived with the advent of kiore, well, no, I suppose more like just normal rats, stoats, and all those things. She is really good at clearing the forest floor. She has a good kai, is what I'm trying to say. She's constantly having a good munch because there's heaps of pests for her to clear out of the ngāere, and she's doing an outstanding job. You could Google it, watching the different birds fly, and they put microphones up to them to get the decibels. Ruru, silent, deadly. She in, she out. You're gone, son. And so she's cleaning out the ngahere for us. And we see that after observing her, that's an act of haumanu, yeah? Clearing out eradicating the pests so that our native manu can continue to reclaim their natural habitats, recreate their koanga, lay their eggs, and have successive generations of manu come through. So in that Mai Kuku section there, yes, we do that right. We know which policy we need to tackle here. We know which minister to make sure we get on side with. But at the same time, we're also doing this. We're movement building. We're taking our people with us. We're reshaping the beautiful earth. We're tilling it, really. We're restoring as well as tilling. And I think I'll move to the final lens now, as the macro lens. This is something that we find really important for us at Whakauae. So at this macro level, we've done micro, we've been focused, we know who we are, what we need to do, then we're going out, we're looking at the systems. We widen out here. We're up in the stars now in the macro lens. And this is probably where Te Ruru departs most clearly from a lot of mainstream systems change frameworks because it makes space for things that are often ignored. And that's colonial trauma, internalized mamae, barriers, healing, restoration, readiness. I think in this section here, in the macro lens, it recognizes that systems will not shift sustainably unless we're all supported to heal alongside that structural change. So the ngangara, we call them, not all ngangara, it's not always like a negative connotation. Some ngangara are, I know, worms and good things for Taiao, but we use this kupu in the context of the things that sit beneath the surface that are stirring riri, the systems, for example, set up so that Māori organisations compete with each other over very limited health provision funding. So, we've got this, sometimes we've got this crossness in ourselves because we're fighting against each other. We're all scraping over the same limited pool of tautoko. And so making this really explicit the needs to heal our ngangara at the same time as orienting upwards towards our new mātauranga. We believe that we're never really going to get there where our tupuna aspirations are actions until we're able to also at the same time give the same energy to a lot of that deep healing that we need to do collectively. And also there's a lot of healing that we need to do in our own individual responsibilities. That didn't make proper English, but you know what I mean, eh? So that's it really. And I was just wondering, I just wanted to show you one way we do it. Here's like one lens. We sort of sit with every different research project. So for Whakauae, this example I've shared is from about 20 kaupapa Māori researchers in a small rural town in Aotearoa. And I'm not moving, I love it here, but there might be parts in this that are useful for you. So be happy to share some of the kind of worksheets that we do. So we're a team of about 20 people. There might be at any one time, let's say 8 to 10 different research projects happening within Whakauae. And so we work through every project. What hasn't been named, what doesn't fit. So yeah, that's just an example really. And there's no finish line in systems change, right? We're not here to control outcomes, but I suppose we're here to support the shifts that create the conditions for our whānau to thrive. And for Whakauae, our mahi is in increasing Māori health equity, and that's what we're trying to do with these sorts of things here. But I had some partai. I'm going to start closing down now. But I would be interested to hear from you all, if this is okay, Ja, to ask a partai of the rōpū. Then I'm going to mute myself and shut up and let you all talk. But because that this Te Ruru framework works for us and it's evolving. I mean, she might very well be renamed and reshifted. In a year or so, or maybe someone new will come in, or one of our iwi members will give us a better pūrākau. But I just wanted to know from all of you, was there anything that didn't quite land or felt off? Was there anything unfamiliar or slightly uncomfortable? But also, I wonder if there's also some parts that felt like something you already knew but hadn't named. And when you sense these systems or sense anything from the kōrero today, did it resonate in your body, not just, in your thinking? So those are just some questions I was personally selfishly interested to hear about. And then I'm going to shush now. Thank you. And yeah, also thank you very much for listening. Kia ora.
Oh, mauri ora kia koe e hoa, and thank you for your partai as well. I think what we'll do is I just want to open the floor up and yeah, invite people to respond. And yeah, to Tom. Nō reira, is there anyone who wants to kick us off? Robbie?
Oh, Tans has got a hand up. And then I'll go.
Okay, all right. Below my hand. Firstly, Tom, ngā mihi nui for that wisdom and that knowledge share e hoa, depth and beauty that I continue to feel. The first time I came into touch with it at the Complex Systems Symposium, it hit something in my heart, and it did again today. And I think for me, it certainly was more embodied today because of the closeness of you being able to express where it was. So the way it resonated in my body was like a warmth and an acknowledgement of knowing, like deep in my gut. There was a yes. Something has been spoken, particularly on the meso, micro, and macro levels, being able to understand the depth and the kind of 3D spherical component of what normally is like a flat pyramid. You know, the Kania model is so like flat and like not alive. So this is alive and changing, and yeah, Ruru really speaks to me, and I get that. So I really wanted to express that like the layering was something that maybe didn't hit home for me as much as it from hearing it the first time, but now I get that. And just also like a brief personal share is I've had a really tough day today because we are fighting against a banking system that does not support us as a charity. They've gone ahead and like frozen funds and not checked through, and just made it incredibly hard for us to fight against the structures and systems at play. But also, like, I also felt like Ruru was calling me to respond in an alternative way other than like anger and despair and hopelessness. Like she was calling me in a different way. Just as she calls in the night when I hear her. So it's something else, you know. There's that spiritual component that gives us the hope to kind of push forward. And in a day of despair for me, like just knowing that I can start unpacking these things, and it is also my mindset around these structures and systems. So yeah, it's really meaningful. Thank you.
Kia ora, tō toko ngā mai I kua mai ia. E hoa, I resonate. I have lots of issues with finance systems and ACC. Those are my two big Napoleons that I'm up against at the moment. But yes, I hear you. And Te Ruru's been very my team she's been safe to share. So if there's anything in here that you can use, please do. She's gone through quite a robust, I don't know, this is quite a dry word, but like cultural safety kind of checks everything that we release. At Whakauae, we've got our incredible uncle, Pōtikanga, to make sure everything's, tika to share into the world. So yeah, if there's anything that you want to take from here and build into your own seed waikato, your personal practice, kaya koe hoa. But good luck as well with the bank. I feel you.
Kia ora. Tēnā koe, te tūkana. Ko robi tēnei, kei o te tahi no hona, engari no tā wahi ahau, no te moana nui a kiwa, no ingarangi no arangi, no reira mihi atu ki a koe, ai, mihi hoki ki te mātauranga kua whakawhāriki I mui a tātou no reira mihi atu. Yeah, kia ora, Tom. I was geeking out a little bit when I heard that you're coming to this, because like I've read the peer-reviewed paper and I've seen the I've geeked out. So just some whakaaro. So I hang out in a lot of the mana moana space, Ngā Kalu Mila, her mahi there, and so that's looking at like patterns and oceanic intelligence located to oceanic region, and so it's so cool to see resonance when it's located in the Pacific and seeing that stuff come through. And I immediately go, and there's patterns and stories and archetypes with the Ruru and association with particular atua and kōrero around Oceania, and I want to go and kind of like, I'm on the wrong laptop at the moment, but the other one's got all the research stuff around those stories, and so that's really cool. Yeah, I think the thing that was new in the Ruru is what happens when the overall story is like a living animal. And so I don't think I've seen that in any of the other different, stories that we tell to, access ancestral intelligence and navigating the world. And so, like, that's something I'd be really curious around, how that might be different or what that might do when we're thinking around an animal. I immediately go, what is the system within the Ruru and how might that understand not just the as an agent acting in a system, but actually as a full system itself. Like I haven't ever had to think about that before, so that's new. Other offerers, this was literally my mahi this morning. So the Kānia 6 conditions. So in March, like 6 weeks ago, he and a bunch of others published a little wee article on Medium where he expanded the concept of mental models, where he's like, oh, turns out mental models is not actually enough, because turns out our thinking doesn't lead what we're doing, our bodies lead what we're doing. And by the way, the whole thing's happening in a trauma field. So I can share you a link. I'll chuck it in the chat to that article. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff if you want to, as a way of taking things that have been published, right, to explain why what we're doing is actually perfectly normal. I've been hanging out in that space a lot recently, happy to point you to things or make connections. But at least even just 6 conditions of systems change, like Kani is like, oh, turns out it's not mental models, what do you say, embodied understanding or meaning making models, which is like a head and a heart and a body, and body requires connection with earth. And then the work that's required is healing mahi and haumanu. So then there's a whole bunch of stuff there. So lovely to see all of these different things that I play with, depending on what I have to create space for, seeing them all together in Te Ruru. That was really nice. And the other bit as well, yeah, there's again kind of like meta frameworks rather than located ones as well, which is, you know, we can hold that it's the multiplicity of all of them. But yeah, the haumanu mahi that's currently sitting with CSI up in Tāmaki is kind of hosted there, explicitly talking about haumanu and the work of trauma healing and collective trauma healing being a part of what you've got to do anyway. And so again, jump on there. If you just do a search for haumanu healing on CSI, they've got all the stuff online. And then, like, honestly, if you want to call it all, this is my happy place. But yeah, overall, what for me personally, I love, because I spend most of my time in these meta frameworks and like oceanic frameworks and general systems, because lots of people, that's how we connect in with different ways of seeing. It's awesome to see something that's so located and so specific and so grounded there. So yeah, thanks for sharing, bro. Kia ora.
So toko tō kōrero e whā. I think we probably would have a lot of crossover if we have to have a yānanga one day, because our background being Rangitīkei based and in Whanganui, my thinking comes from very like place based. But yes, the multiplicity of verses and the multiplicity of many knowings and holding all of them at once. I'm with you. It would be such an interesting project to explore the crossovers between all of our Indigenous whanaunga, all the way from Taipei to Ngā Mea Katoa. It'll be really, really interesting to see all those either linkages and differences, and then your kōrero to Te Ruru being a living existing system itself within a system, a ngahere within a system, a ngahere within a country with borders, with governance and stuff. Yeah, and that's quite a difficult one. I need to do some more thinking about that, because yeah, it's we never even really meant to, you know how I broke down the framework and it almost looks anatomical. I kind of feel like that wasn't really tika in some ways. So thank you for sharing that kōrero, because maybe I'll come back in another 6 months and it'll be changed again. But please, if you ever want to have a yarn, that would be cool, e hoa. That'll be cool. Sounds like you're into some very, very cool kaupapa, and I love a good nerd out too. It's exciting, eh?
Seb.
Kia ora Tom, and kia ora koutou katoa, ko Sebastian Lowe, tōku ingoa. Tom, always a pleasure to hear you and to be introduced to where you're going next with your ideas and thoughts. It's very, incredible to sort of see where you navigate and take us. And you articulated beautifully all this idea of the ontological clash of systems and ways in which to weave us into thinking with the Ruru in beautiful ways. So, ngā mihi kia koe e hoa. I just wanted to just really comment on how this thinking encourages us or invites us to listen and look differently, fundamentally shifting our approach to time and space. And I often think about the Ruru, or birds in general, and how they can navigate through a forest. They don't take the lines often. They just go where they're pulled, and the Ruru being of the night, being able to use their eyes and ears to that effect. So yes, to really comment on how this is profoundly human, and just to echo what Robbie was saying before as well, that it's of the world. It's in the world already. It's not something that's stuck on, that we often see with some of these really cold and objectifying sort of frameworks that we're all trying to dance with in certain ways. So yeah, just to sort of articulate my own thanks to you, and your own contribution to my work and my world as well. So ngā mihi kia koe e hoa. Beautiful.
Sort of Sebo. Sebastian was the one who taught me the word ontology and epistemology. So thank you, Seb. Seb actually encouraged me to do a PhD many years ago when we first met, and we played Pūtātara and some other taonga puoro, and we got this huge reaction from Seb. We were at Bushy Park, and it was Kereru, this huge swarm. I'd never in my 30-odd years experienced a swarm of that size. It was probably 40 kereru just coming at us in response to, I think it was a pūtātara.
Yeah, or putorino maybe.
It was a putorino. It
Yeah,
was too.
putorino, yeah.
And I think it
Amazing,
was, it was amazing. And it's these moments that make me shut up my own head and listen, shut up my own thoughts and go, well, there's an entire universe that is actively communicating, saying where the weak spots are, saying where the strengths are. So thank you very much for teaching me that. And a really cool example of us, connecting across our different epistemologies and ontologies and finding a lot of resonance in the in-between spaces. And one of the cool thing about systems change thinking is I really enjoy, someone here will know it. Is it Barber, third space, like that third space, like the liminal zone where we can come from completely different cultures, backgrounds, whānau, religions, cultures. But then when we get to the space, if you go, for example, if I go back to Te Ruru, we go through the micro lens and we're all, okay, so this is who we are, this is what we believe in. We have these safe spaces to go into possibilities where, I don't know, maybe in 20 years' time when we all have grandkids, or 30 years, whatever, this whole world will be like Dune 2. So I'm rabbiting on, sorry, but thank you, Seb, for for being a really cool person to test ideas out safely with me.
No, good effort.
Atara, would you like to kōrero?
Low-key on the spot, but I did have a whakaro, and e ngā mihi nui ki ngā kōrero kua wānanga here i Whanganui nei. Interesting, I was thinking about, just as you were speaking, and bless you e hoa, it's beautiful to hear te mita o Taranaki, i roto i tēnei uitopa. The kind of, I guess, yeah, we whakaro ana e rongo ana ki ngā kōrero. I was really interested in the interesting use of the Ruru, because back home over in Kahungunu, or a little bit up the coast, in Wairoa, we have a strong affinity to the Ruru as a kaitiaki, and also, reminded of that pūrākau, and the important role that the Ruru played in Mataora's trip to Rarohenga. Yeah. So like just thinking about that as well and play and kind of like the role, and I quite enjoyed, because we don't often talk about the manu being, we don't often talk about the manu of the nighttime, unless it's a kākāpō. So just, really interesting to kind of the role it plays and I guess part of the thinking I have is how can we at the kāinga be more interested in this, this one layer, which is our kaitiaki, and this one layer, which is its responsibility or the haupapa that it takes on, to ensure the system and Te Whānganui a tāne can exist. And I was just, yeah, I love the comic. Holy hecka, I love the comic. He mahi rangatahi, he mahi yeah, ngā hau ki au. So I was really invested and thinking also like, what does silent change look like? Because you'll only if you fall prey to the ruru, heaven forbid we don't. But a silent predator ne, I te pō. So what does that look like in terms of systems change? And is it really a different strategy? Or yeah, he mahanga whakaro, but koina he tahi ka whiu ki te ruma. Vera, sorry, you had your hand up.
Yeah, it was actually about the comic. I've been looking at it on my phone briefly, and it's really well done. I was wondering if you have done like physicals of this, because I feel like it's something that'd be really cute in our library.
I'll get some printed. In Whanganui, we've only got a couple of printers, and I was just talking to him this morning. He ran out of comic paper, so he's getting some sent from the big city, and he's going to have it next week. So yeah, I'll flick you guys some copies to have on in your tari.
Yeah, that'd be so wonderful. Thank you. It looks really good. There's a lot of work to get that sort of project done, and it's going well.
Rawe. Oh, I just wanted to mihi back to our mate Ataro. Kei hia tō warinui behind you. Is it Pokeahua?
This is Rangiahua, yeah, up and
Rangiahua
wide.
in Wairoa. Oh, I've spent some summers there because on my big, huge haerenga to come back to Whakauae, Ngāti Hauati, I think we share a tupuna through somewhere along the line, tamatia pōkai whenua ki tōna tahu, or maybe the generation above. I'm going to have to go back to my puka puka, but beautiful marae there. I've swept the wharekai, the floor there. Oh, you shared some really beautiful whakaaro that I need to go away and have a good meditate on, because yeah, what does silent change look like? I guess I'd have to look out tonight to see where Te Ruru goes and come back to you. But thank you for posing such a punchy partai. It was beautiful. Kia ora iho.
Kia ora, Tom. Ngā mihi nui for all the maturanga, all the shares here. It's really lovely for me to see a framework that's named after a native species. It's just a living, as you say, it's a living framework. And I love how you said right away that it's dynamic and it can evolve and change, just as every living systems do. I wanted to show off the Ruru here. Rocked it for this hui. And it's got the Nautica symbol, so for all the Tāngata Moana out there, this one's for you. And I love frameworks, and sometimes I get kind of stuck in it's too theoretical, and I would love to hear if there's a pūrako or a way in which your whānau, or maybe folks at the marae have applied it to maybe a friction point, a problem. So you went through the steps of the micro, meso, macro, following this tikanga, and I want to hear like, how did you get into a challenging place using this framework yourself and came out the other side? Kia ora.
Kia ora, and also double whammy with your ko as top. Rawe. That's a really good. That's a hard part, so putting me on the spot like that. But okay, I'll do a what do you call it? Like a cleanse version, because often when we're having these really difficult confronting kōrero where worldviews are being buttered, we can some real tough talk needs to happen, and I think that's why we have the I'll go up and I'll try. This is a good chance for me to practice like an elevator pitch, eh? How can I explain this in like 2 minutes? Because I'm a waffler. I'm a waffler kai. I go on and on. So one project we're working on at the moment is the prevention of HIV in Aotearoa. And so we're embedding using in a traditional research team, you apply for months to get funding from either the Health Research Council, HRCNZ, or and it's a very competitive process. So from before we began the research project, we began sitting in this micro lens. For example, we've got a real small research team. There's about 6 of us, and we all sort of said, oh, can we actually make a research program? Can we do a body of work that is actually a joy to come into every time we meet together? Can we not make it a kaupapa where you look at the clock, it's 3:30, damn, I've got a hui in half an hour, this is going to go on for 2 hours, Dada's going to be here and she's going to spin the kōrero out and we're going to get off track. So we spend a lot of time having some courageous conversations, perhaps, like, I like it when this is how an ideal hui looks like for me. Bro over here, answer your emails. Mate over here, don't call me after 5. So setting our tikanga very, very clearly. Then, our team leads can use te motu of calling all of our roles and our actions together. So we begin to piece together everything from that first step of landing on how do we want to act around our tikanga. So luckily for us, I've been in some other institutions where you see tikanga and they're just like pretty posters on the wall. Because we are a iwi-owned institute, these are practiced and role modeled to me every day. So maybe that's a privilege I have, that it's embodied in my mahi. But then that hard conversation is, okay, well, how do you put it into action? How do you want to be treated? What are your pronouns? How would you like to be addressed? So having those discussions up front, this is a bit of I'm trying to do it real fast, but it's not working, eh? That was the first step for this particular project, Roko te re tō tanga o te wai, examining the depths of all the cool things that whānau Māori have been doing in disease prevention. And then we're at a stage now in the research project, we've only been going for, I think, 2 months, like 8 weeks. We're now looking at, right, who do we need to tackle in this space here? Okay, we know a lot of the practices which are pretty shit for whānau Māori are actually all a whānau in Aotearoa. For example, GPs are not paid to ask about, do you know what PrEP is? Do you know how to prevent HIV? They might get paid, for example, to ask questions about alcohol. So there's all these behind the scenes systemic conditions which we're pulling together, making a really strategic case for in this meso lens. And then when we're ready, I suppose we'll pick up our mai kuku and start scooping up people, scooping up the minister over here, grabbing this one over here, and also looking for movement on the ground that we can align with, because you don't have to do all the mahi yourself. You don't have to be a martyr. You can go and find, Te Whānganui, they're doing a kaupapa on sexual health and da-da-da. Let's release the da-da-da there. So yeah, so we're in that process now. Whilst at the same time, I suppose in some ways, because Te Ruru's led, we might have already discussed some of our ngangara here. So we've already established what our new mātauranga is going to be. We want our whānau with lived experience to lead out the kaupapa. We are just there to support them. It is their needs that we're building into, hopefully, something that can improve services for our whānau. And then, but having those different front, I suppose, we've been able to surface some of the ngangara, and then just knowing that they are always going to be around, we can always go back to them again when they're more. Oh, thank you for letting me learn how to do that in too long time. Kia ora.
Kia ora. I think we might have time for one more if anyone would like to share or kōrero. Okay, rawe. Well, I guess he taonga kia koe e ho Tom. I guess to close off the space, how about we all drop kotahi kupu, one word in the group chat about the way that this presentation has made us feel. So I'm just going to allow 1 minute for us to drop it in the group chat, and this will be our koha to you, Tom. Okay, we've got Tāngata Taiao, nourished. Mihara! We've got energized, waters. Not one kapu, however, I couldn't help but feel a nanny's eyes watching. Aligned.
I love the nanny's eyes watching whoever said that. I had a dream about my granny last night, so wow.
Hawahe tohu tira. Reflective and awhi. O, nō reira kia koe e hoa tom tina koe ki tō mātauranga me tō koha no ngā tupuna ngā kōrero tuku iho me ngā te āhuatanga o te manu o te ruru. Nō reira, me mihi hōhonu ki a koe me te waiora I koha ana I te kaupapa nei. Nō reira, he whakatauki pia tēnei, kia whakarongo ake au ki te ruru e kāranga ana, pō kio. And that says, I hear the ruru calling, pō kio. Nō reira. I would like to, if there isn't any other kupu or kōrero, I can close us off with a karakia whakamutunga. Before I do that, Tom, could you just briefly share about pō kio?
Well, that was one of the many privileged kōrero tukuiho I got from Uncle Utaku here. Pō kio. I think it might be part of a tūparapara from memory. Sits in a bit of a pūrākau, which maybe I only got the end of it because the rest wasn't for me, if you know what I mean. So there's always when we go home and ask about those pūrākau and I think our people are very good at knowing, this river kōrero is only for river ears, this manu kōrero is for manu ears. So I think he shared that with me for a particular reason, and it was just reminding me, listen out at night time. She's there, she's watching, she's listening, she's there for you. Yeah.
Mauri ora. So let's carry that in our hearts. Pō kio. Mauri ora e hoa. Ai, me karakia tātou. Me haere tātou, whakawhiti whakaaro, whakawhiti kōrero. Hoa ki tātou, aroha tētahi ki tētahi. Whiua ki te ao, whiua ki te rangi. Haumi e hui e, tai ki e. Let's all share our thoughts, share kōrero. Let's give love all around to everyone, to the world. All together, yayer. Nō reira, mauri ora. Thank you all for being here today.
Mauri ora, tēnā tātou.
Tēnā tātou.
Tēnā tātou.
Tēnā koutou, ka kite.
Ka kite
Mauri
anō.
ora.